Welcome to Rotary and Serving Our Community. My name is Wade Nomura, and today we're going to take a look at one of our cooperating organizations, that group that we work with. It's Sister Cities International. And with me today I have Gil Garcia. Gil, welcome.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I want to talk about two of my favorite topics, Rotary and Sister Cities.
Perfect, that sounds good. Yeah. Now tell us a little bit about yourself, Gil. What do you do? And
Well, I'm an architect, but I was came through it through a kind of a different way because I was born in Santa Barbara, and worked in Goleta in a lot of the orchards and things like in picking the lemons, and I was a great lemon picker in those days. And then I went to high school and went to school to see the world. I joined the service after high school to see the world, and they sent me to Oxnard Air Force Base for 4 years. And there I've got an opportunity to go to City College, and there I had the seed to become an architect. I started drafting and taking math, and that's what kind of led me to be an architect. And I came back and started out as an office boy and got my license, and after I had enough training, I got my state license.
So you're a native Santa Barbaran then?
Yes, native Santa Barbaran.
All right, good for you.
Born and raised.
So tell us a little bit about your Rotary career.
Well, my Rotary career was back in the 80s, started back in the 80s, and I kind of fell into it, similar to how I fell into architecture, I guess. I first joined Sister Cities, Santa Barbara Puerto Vallarta Sister City Committee. Has over 40 years of Sister City relationship. I knew nothing about Rotary. But when I started doing visitations back in the 80s to our sister city, you begin to make friends and you make contacts and you begin to talk to people, and some of them were Rotarians, and they would invite me to see what they were doing, the projects they were working on, and I was impressed with how dedicated Rotarians were. So I told them, what is it all about Rotary? What is Rotary? So they explained to me, and I said, gee, I'd like to join Rotary. And they said, fine, go back and call a Rotary Club somewhere. Of course, I came back and didn't know any Rotarians. So I looked through the phone book and asked some people, and they got me a hold of, and I made a call, and I joined Rotary.
That's interesting. Yeah. So you joined Rotary because of Sister Cities International, basically.
True.
Very
That's
good.
true.
Well, thank you for furnishing us. You got a PowerPoint here. Let's go ahead and jump into the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So we see what Sister Cities is all about.
Yeah.
First slide that we have up shows the Rotary Club of Santa Barbara North, and if you want, you could walk us through the PowerPoint.
Well, yeah, this PowerPoint was put together for a visitation from our sister Rotary Club in Puerto Vallarta. They were going to come here, and we were going to talk to different Rotary clubs here about the relationship between Sister Cities and Rotary. So we put together this PowerPoint. My office put together this PowerPoint with the help of the Rotarians and the images they gave me, demonstrating the different opportunities of cooperations that have happened over the years. It goes back to since the 80s. We've been cooperating. So a lot of people are talking about alliances and cooperation. That's happened more recently because of particularly economic times. It's kind of tough to do things all on your own now. So people look more and more alliances and cooperation. And here we've been doing it since the 80s.
Very good.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. So your first slide shows some palm trees.
There's some palm trees. It's typical of tropical climate of Puerto Vallarta, and the ocean view from the land, and it's similar topography of Santa Barbara, the ocean and the mountains behind you, and the city in between. And then some of the hotels we stay at, just as a picture of the hotels we stay at. Beautiful swimming pools they have there. Beautiful swimming
hotel
pools.
there, yeah. You're really roughing it there in Mexico, aren't you?
Well, somebody's got to do the work. So we go there. And then the next slide is a Rotary on a trip. This is a Rotary North members on the trip to Puerto Vallarta. I put Rotary North members, although they are also combined with Sister City members. Mm-hmm. Many of the Rotary members of our club are Sister City members and vice versa. Oh. So we do trips together. And this just shows that one of the president taking pictures of some of the projects and some of the activities that we are doing. In one of the important things about Sister City is citizen diplomacy, social interaction, talking, building friendships, and it has really 4 pillars. It's of a relationship, which is respect. Everything starts with respect, friendship, brotherhood, and love. And I think when you get to the love portion, you love the culture. That's what motivates you a lot to do a lot of this work. It's like it suddenly develops a passion, and that's what it is.
Kind of parallel to Rotary then.
Exactly.
No wonder it makes sense.
You get to that passion.
Very good.
Then the next slide shows kind of the first projects and what motivated me to join Rotary in the first place, because when I went to Puerto Vallarta as a city member and I saw that they were, a doctor, Rotarian, was taking these children that were dragging themselves around in these villages, and a lot of polio problems at that time, they would, I would notice that they would call them, niños de basura, or because they really children of trash, because they really weren't functional, as they would just drag themselves and they kind of fed them. But this Rotarian would pick them up, and he was an orthopedic surgeon, and he would operate on them. Wow. And then they would take them to Guadalajara to operate, and then they'd have to stay there because of the therapy that has to go on after an operation. It takes months of therapy. So that then caused a hardship for the people, the families in Puerto Vallarta, to have to go to Guadalajara, some sleeping out on the streets while their children are being rehabbed. So the goal then of Rotary at that time, then my goal when I talked to Rotarians is we need a rehab hospital here. So this shows a picture of the rehab hospital we built back in 89, 90. It was designed by students in Cal Poly. As an architect, I went to them and made it a project. The winning architects were 3 architects out of several that were designed, and out of those 3, it was 3 designs, and 3 designs went there, and 1 was selected, and then the 2 young men that were the winners spent a year and got their credentials, the 5th year, under the tutelage of an architect in Puerto Vallarta to do the drawings, to do the working drawings. And at that time also they did a ADA for the entire city of Puerto Vallarta. That, by the way, is a couple years ago started to be implemented after all these years. So that was a very good project. It's now complete, and we funded it and built it, and it's all now a private project under a private nonprofit organization.
Well, that's a good partnership, because one thing fascinating is that Rotary won't build the buildings, but they'll put everything inside. That's
right, exactly. As a matter of fact, Rotary gave us $80,000 to equip this building, and the equipment was ordered by the Shriners Hospital. So I designed a fountain for the Shriners Hospital, which they paid me with the equipment.
Perfect.
So
thank you there, Gil.
Take off on the dolphin fountain, which I designed the base for the dolphin fountain here. Okay. So that's why they were able to design the dolphin fountain and the base in Shriners Hospital. But they, so it was a collaborative project, which is now running very well. And then the next photo shows on a current visit where we now maintain it. You see it operating. You see a lot of the equipment inside.
Beautiful.
The new building, we just added a new building to it, and we put a new roof on some of the building where you had some heavy rains and started to leak. So then we went to more recently, we created a partnership with Rotary to do a clinic in the community of Boca de Tomatlan, which is a community just on the border between the next municipality, which is Cabo Corrientes, and Puerto Vallarta. There's a river that comes down, they call it Boca de Tomatlan, which means mouth of the river. And this is on one side of the river, the other side is the other municipality. And to get there was about 30 minutes. People were actually, fatalities were happening because he couldn't get them to the downtown in time. Wow. And a lot of them had to do with you up against a cliff, and you'd have rocks come down, you'd have blockage. So they needed a clinic in there, and there we ended up developing another partnership, which is with the migrant clubs. We found out that there is a 3-to-1 program with government of Mexico, that they provide probably about 50 to 70 million a year for funding directed toward migrants living in the United States. They can do projects with that money, but it's 3-to-1. So you take that 70 million and you multiply it by 3 more parts. You see how much projects is available then by monies coming from, additional monies, 1 part money coming from migrants over there. But we qualified because we have been a sister city and longer than some migrants are as old. So they said, well, you're helping Puerto Vallarta. So the consulate said, yeah, you can qualify. So we qualified, and we are now considered like a migrant club. So this was done with the 3-to-1 funding, this project. And it's just recently completed. a lot of the photographs you see here is visitations before it got started. The group on location, a site of the Tomatlan Clinic, that we call the miracle of Tomatlan, because when I started to explain to them the cost of this project, how much money more, I needed about 17,000 more to raise for our one part. Before I said how I was going to raise it, somebody raised their hand and said, I'll pay 5,000. Somebody said, I'll pay 5,000. So in that moment, we raised 25. Matter of minutes, we raised $25,000.
Wow.
So it completed our one part funding. The other photographs show the community meetings we had, because part of Rotary, in order for, and we take this, Sister City now takes this from Rotary, that we have to really know the needs of the community, and it's got to be their project. We don't come down and say, here, we're going to give you this. Yeah. We do a needs assessment, and they tell us what their highest need is. Right. In this case, it was health. Health for Boca Tomatlan, which is a regional clinic that serves communities all around, of which 3 of them you can only get by boat. And there was a lot of fatalities just to be able to get people from those communities to the Boca Clinic. So here Rotary came in again under a grant, and we gave them first response equipment to stabilize the patient and then put them on a boat. Now I realize how difficult it is to carry him on a boat, because I carried the equipment on the boat over there. so I realize how difficult it must have been for them to carry a human being.
Yeah, it must be.
Put them on a little boat.
Because everything's moving.
Yeah, everything's moving. So this shows a lot of the community meetings, and my explaining this a lot to Rotary, because I had a lot of presentations to Rotary. Under the other projects, we have Feed the Children project. This happened because we noticed that a lot of the children in the area, they called them Magisterio area, where the landfill used to be, and the families would make their life by recycling, rummaging through the landfill. And a lot of the children then weren't doing good in school. So we then got them, which is another program, we then got them scholarships to be able to go to school, but then we found out they weren't learning very well, and we found out because they were hungry. So then this started the Feed the Children, and after that, their grades started to go up, and more scholarships were then able to work. We've donated wheelchairs to Puerto Vallarta, and we've done this in cooperation with other Rotary clubs, because Puerto Vallarta is a point where you go sometimes during the high season. You go to a Rotary meeting there, you'll probably see more Canadians and Americans there than Mexican Rotarians. Yeah. Because many of them have summer homes there, or what they call, winter homes there, I should say. Their summer down there, winter homes. And they get very involved in the community, and they also see the needs. So in cooperation with them, we work and we send wheelchairs for the people that need wheelchairs. Good. The other thing that we do is, as somebody, as you know, water is the basic need of all communities. There's many illnesses due to bad water in the remote villages. So we found that when illnesses occur and the mother can't go to work, they have to stay home. The children can't go to school; they have to stay home. With bad water, the babies don't have color even when they go. They look like they're always kind of sick. They are sick actually, yeah. And so we do a temporary solution, because it's a big infrastructure to put water. This works for 10 years. It's getting a bucket and with a filter in it, and we got literally thousands of those buckets, and we're handing them out, going out. Here you see where we handed out the buckets. They fill it, and it filters through, and then that becomes potable water. In other communities, we ended up for, I think it was about $5,000 we did with Rotary grants, and we have a central filter in a school in the middle of the community, and sometimes they would come, and nearby communities would use that, and from that filter we would create a piping system to the closest people. So water was something that's very important, and they take a lot of the water from contaminated river water. So that's one of the big projects right now that is ongoing. Other projects include libraries that we do, computer classes, and the children in the scholarship program. We see pictures of the children in the scholarship program. We provide instruments also for music and teach music. And the bottom picture, I think one of the slideshows you see here, UNIVA is a university there in Puerto Vallarta, which they put together a symphony, and they teach music to everyone that wants to learn music. So that's an important cultural thing in Mexico. So that's pretty much a little bit of everything that we do. The project that we're now working on, that we just submitted, is a sewing business for 100 mothers that in a community of poverty, that the mothers can't afford to keep their children in school, or the families can't afford to keep children in school, the fathers don't make enough, so the children have to quit school to help the family. So this provides income for the mothers, and it's a 3-to-1 project we're working on, and it will be ready probably next year. But in order to prepare them for a business, we have to teach them how to run a business, and that's where this university comes in. The young people there have an excellent business training program, and they also have an excellent program on how to market your goods. Before we do the business side, we had to train them also how to sew. Many of them didn't know how to sew. Some of them did, but not professionally. So we've already completed a sewing school, and we already graduated about maybe 50 mothers from the sewing school. So they're waiting now to go over to this cooperative business that they will then use their skills. As far as the product, well, every child in Mexico is required, in Puerto Vallarta is required to wear uniforms, so they'll do the uniforms. And the government pays for a lot of the uniforms, so they'll buy them now from this cooperative. In addition to that, some stores, and there's many stores that service tourism there, already ordering from the school. They can't produce right now as much as the orders are coming in even. So you can see how the business is going to be an excellent business once it gets going and moving.
Outstanding.
So that's the project we're working on.
Now, is this project, by the way, in a factory do they work out of, the school, or is it?
The school is a building that used to be a home for the elderly, and it was too small, so they built a larger one next door. And so the government then gave this to Rotary on what they call a comodato, which is a lease, and 30-year lease. So we then collaborated with Rotary and Sister Cities, and we remodeled it to make it a school. Right next door is a piece of property that's where the factory is going to go, and we've already have the plans for that. Matter of fact, I just received them a couple of days ago, and we're putting it into the system. By the system, I mean everything has to be now through the Mexican government, has to be done by computers. Everything's lifted into the computer system, and then they review it, all the projects that are coming in. It's interesting that before we did it by paperwork, a lot of projects were in by now, but computer is a little more difficult. So we checked with Guadalajara for how many projects have come in. Actually, only I think 5 projects, and so because it's more difficult for them right now. So there are courses being given to how to enter it into the computer system. That's just a big job in itself. So we already got that course. We know how to do it, so we're entering it into the computer system. Yeah.
Sounds good. Have a few more pictures there left. Next set of pictures actually was from an event that we hosted. Actually, you worked with me on that.
Yes, I did, and thank you for
Paso Robles.
Yeah, at Paso Robles and San Miguel, Mission San Miguel. Sister Cities International, located in Washington, D.C., has about 2,000 relationships throughout the world in 160 countries. And we have it's a bottoms-up organization, just like Rotary, but I will say that Rotary is much better organized in training the bottom of the pyramid to work up to the top and to get things done. But so the bottom is well trained in Rotary, and that's where we're learning, that's where I'm learning a lot from Rotary, to be able to train our organizations, sister city organizations, so they can be effective, because the strength of any organization is really the strength of the local projects and the local, how well the local people can understand and do the work. That's why Rotary is so successful. But we then have the network then needs that kind of training, and it's all volunteers doing the training. So we have state associations, which I'm president of Southern California, and there's a Northern California. And our mission is to have, we have about 4 meetings a year, which they end up being workshops, best practices, training sessions on, and it's a feedback too as to what's been successful, and so that helps the others. So this meeting in San Miguel was the 2 state organizations coming together after not having done so in 20 years. So this was a memorable day. 20 years, and it was very well, I think, attended by leadership. This is all the leadership of the Northern California, and the Washington D.C. was here as well. Incoming to the president, chairman of the board, I say, of Sister Cities International, and the incoming chairman of the board was there, and the president, Mary Kane, was there. And they all were very pleased with the turnout, and it was kind of, as you recall, a kickoff to the 60th anniversary of Sister Cities International that will be celebrated in Washington, D.C. in July. That'll be a big event as well. So,
that would be, yeah, very good.
And we appreciated your coming to talk and giving us a talk about how Rotary and Sister Cities, how Rotary can do what we've been doing.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Yeah. You know, the partnership of the 2 organizations is going to definitely help a lot in those areas specific. So tell me a little bit about yourself as far as the projects. What project have you done that really stands out in your mind?
You're talking about
either one, Rotary project, Sister Cities project, one that.
Oh, the sister. Well, we've done so many projects, but I am very, very proud of the rehab clinic, because that was done with a lot of collaboration. We had the school, we had the Shriners Hospital, we had the Rotarians, we had Sister Cities, and then we had grants from Japan for these students to spend their time in Mexico. So we had Japanese student grant. Wow. So it was it became an international project. So, and that's what really Sister Cities is all about, is getting everybody to work together to do something. It creates that closeness and the passion to do something. Working together creates friendships. Because anybody, architect could have done it in Puerto Vallarta and it would have been done. But that wasn't the theme. The theme was how do you get people involved to do it, and it's theirs. So I'm very proud of that. The other one, of course, is we've current projects. The Boca de Tomatlan project, I think, is something too that's kind of a new one for us, in that first time we're doing the 3-to-1. So we're proud of the support we got from that, from our membership. It cost about $200,000 to build that. We had to come up with one part of that. And this project that we're going to be working on also is going to be something that really makes an impact. I think we look at the projects that not so much is a hand out, but a hand up, so they can really sustain themselves. And that's what I like about Rotary, and we preach that in Sister Cities, sustainability. Yeah. Sustainability is so important.
Yeah, it really is. That
because otherwise you can never,
big difference.
You can never fill the hole if you just keep putting money into it.
Very true.
It'll never work.
Now, how do you identify these projects? Is it through a Sister Cities cooperation, or is it just something that somebody comes to you, say, you know what, we have a need?
Well, Rotary is very well versed on all the needs in Puerto Vallarta, because they do a lot of the work and have been doing a lot of the work. And when I got there, I saw one Rotarian saw the need, and he was working on it. And from there, we saw the need. But the other thing that we do is we've also built schools there. Another little project I forgot to mention, we built a school where workers come in from all over Mexico when there's a big building boom and there's not enough housing for them. So they start to make settlements outside the city, and pretty soon you have kids, children, and there's a teacher. You get a teacher out there, and they're learning under a tree. So we built a school for them. So we saw the obvious need there. We built a school there. So and Rotary helped on that as well. But we're trying to push more toward getting sustainable plans from neighborhoods, from communities. We like to go to community and say, okay, we want to help you do this, but tell us, how do you intend to make your community is going to be sustainable? How are you going to raise the economic base of your community? What is it that you need? What is your plan? And I wrote a paper on it. As a matter of fact, it's philanthropy from Sister Cities and Rotary, and taking the theme of Rotary, which is identify the need, understand the need, but it's their need and it's their plan. Otherwise, what you're going to provide a solution may not work for them at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be a very simple solution to start with, but sometimes we go in there with this grand solution when it's really a simple little one step, and they're very happy with that. And then you take the next step, and then you take the next step, and pretty soon you arrive to this grand solution. But they arrived there, and that's what we're trying to do now.
That is good.
And this last government appreciated that with us when we did that in Boca de Tomatlan. We have a new mayor now, and he's very cooperative, and I see that he's now working with us to do a similar thing. And we try to empower each community to have a community group that really understands, and we try to even make them a 501c3. Over there they call it Asociación Civil, Asociación Civil. And and we go talk to the different communities and ask them.
So basically empowering the community to lead themselves to improve.
Yeah.
It's a good model, and that's the way it has to be.
Yeah. It has to be, otherwise you'll never solve it. But you'll never solve all the problems, but when people are working to solve their own problems, they feel a lot better, and they're motivated. A lot of sweat equity goes into solving the problem instead of just waiting there.
Yeah. Have you kept track of any of those projects that you've done?
Well,
in other words, do you go back and visit those?
Oh yeah, but we developed deep friendships. That's part of what Sister City is all about. I developed some deep friendships of people, and we go back and visit with them. But it is something that's an ongoing thing for us, is to try to identify that need and try to through the communities and try to empower them. What we do now as a Sister City organization, when I was on Sister Cities International Board of Directors.
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap up here. We're kind of running out of time.
Yeah.
So again, thank you very much for coming. I know we could talk about this all day. It's all the things that we do good in the world. With that, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Take a look at Sister Cities, take a look at Rotary, see what they have to offer in changing the world. Thank you very much for your time.